Another way of avoiding having a problem with your slot is just to use the move tool and rotate to make a shape. So I'm going to make a simple little rounded front one. I'm going to start by doing my basic floor plan, which is an 80 by 80 space, which will be quite small. So I'm going to click on the magnifying glass and zoom in. And now I'm going to divide this up into different sections. I'm going to do that with a line. So I'm going to go for the midpoint. So if we move down the line, it finds the midpoint, and find the midpoint on this side. And then I'm going to do that again. Midpoint there to the midpoint here. So I've now got a quarter, and a half. I'm now going to look at it from the top. So I'm going to go to a standard view and look from the top. And I will now want a center line here, because I want a triangular back shape. And I'm going to use the arc tool from the end there to the end there to the midpoint, and that's going to give me the sort of shape I want. Now I've got some spare lines. I can use the rubber. 1, 2, that one, one there, and one there. Now that gives me the basic shape I want. So I'm now going to move from a top projection to an isometric projection. Now the front I want to be reasonably high, so I can click on the pull tool, and I can pull that up to about 10 millimeters high. I'm then going to pull the center section up not as high. I'm going to pull it up to 7.5, and then the back section I'm going to pull, and it'll only let me pull it up in, let me pull it up beyond that one, and I want to make that one on the back quite high, because that's going to support the back of the phone, and I'm going to make that 25. Okay. Now I've got, because I've done this with various heights, I've now got my little step to put the phone in. The problem is, of course, that the phone would be vertical. If I look at that from the side, so from the left hand side, the phone would be standing straight up and be likely to fall forward. I need a little bit of a tip on that, and I'm going to do that by angling this line here backwards and this one down. Now it may be that this front section, looking at this front section is too low. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to rotate that a touch, because I think that might be a bit low, and I'm going to pull that up a little bit higher. I'm going to pull that up another 5, because I can always change it back down later on. And I'm going to select the line on the edge. You should be able to see it's gone blue, and with the shift key, that line as well. And I'm now going to rotate those two. So I'm going to click on the rotate button, make sure it goes red, because it's in the red direction I want to rotate it. I don't want to rotate it at an angle or on a curve. I want to rotate it here. So click, that gives me the rotation point where it's going to rotate, and then this gives me a line to rotate with. And because I've selected both lines, that's going to go up a bit. So I think for my phone, about 15 degrees, and I can see what 15 looks like, and that looks okay, looks like a good angle. So I've done one side, and because it's looking a bit strange in here because I've only done the one side, so I have to rotate it around. And so you can see the odd view that's going on there, and I want to do exactly the same thing on the other side. Select the line and use shift key to select the vertical line. Rotate tool, make sure it's on the red, and I want to rotate that one back about 15 degrees as well. Whoops. I'll rotate it about 15 degrees as well. And that's going to give me these couple of strange lines on the surface, which hopefully, because it's been done in 2 halves, I can just delete, and it doesn't affect the model. Now the front here, if I rotate that round, the front has got a little line on it, so I'm going to delete that little line there. Again, that's because it was made in 2 halves. and that's really sort of kind of the wrong angle. I want that to be a bit straighter so the front of the phone can rest against it. So again, I can click on that and see what I can do with move. Now I don't really know what I can do with move till I try it. Oh, that doesn't look too bad. So I can actually move that up and down a bit, and the back angle is staying the same, so I don't really want to change it very much. If I take it all the way up to there, that's 0, on a little bit lower and maybe a little bit straighter like that, and I think around about 1 looks okay, and that should give me a little bit of a step, so the front of the phone should be able to lean against there. So if I rotate that around again, I've now got my step on the front. The back I think looks a bit ugly because it's a bit high and using a lot of plastic. I want something a bit more elegant at the back. So what I can do there is I click on the move tool, click on the corner, nope, edit, undo, that's because I still had the edit, undo, that's because I still had the front line selected in blue. So I want to just select this corner here and I want to bring it down in a straight line, nice and low. See, it's on the blue axis, so it's going down in a straight line. Now it's gone down nice and low. So now if I rotate that around with the rotate thing, I've now got a nice angle on it, and it goes nicely down at the back. And there's other things I can do with the move tool. So for instance, those two corners, I can try moving those in a bit, and then I'm going to move those in by 5. I'm going to move that one in by 5. Makes it look slightly more elegant. And have a look at that. Now obviously what I'd have to do next is test it to make sure that it's not going to be too big to hold the phone, because one of the problems I've got here, of course, is that space is about 20, and that might be 2 centimeters might be too big for the phone. So if I think it is, again, I can select that line there and I can move that forward. So I can move that forward by 5, and I can select the top line and I can move that one forward by 5, and that gives me a narrower gap. So I can use move to play around with it and end up with a shape which I'm happy to print out and at least give a try to. There's no guarantee that when I actually print it out it's guaranteed to work as a mobile phone stand, but that's really when you get into testing.